ask you, what's some advice you have for people who want to live sustainably?
So we are a food forest. We grow food. We like concentrating and letting people know what the food system is like. So the best thing you can do is when you go to the store, figure out where your food comes from. We read the label. Figure out if you want to spend money with that company that's making that food, whether it's sourced sustainably, whether it's sourced ethically, and what are their labor practices, and how are they affecting the environment. What you can do at your home, if you have a garden or landscaping or lawn or whatever you have, you can see which plants you can grow in your garden that don't use as many resources as our traditional landscaping plants do, right? A lawn uses a lot of nitrogen, sometimes even pesticides, and it costs a lot of money and fuel to keep it maintained. There are plenty of, for instance, ground covers that are native to Florida that don't use as many resources that you can use and treat as well. And that affects our environmental sustainability directly here in South Florida.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for answering some questions.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
At the start of the project, our group planned to prepare and plant 3 garden beds of plants that appeal to the senses of sight, smell, taste, and touch. For this, we used plants like kale that could eventually be eaten, and others like beach sunflower and sensitive plants that appeal to sight and touch. We ended up not being able to get the soil needed for the 3rd garden bed, so we only planted 2. To maintain the sensory garden, our group committed to watering the garden 5 days a week. Each of us would go out on our assigned days and water the plants using water from the on-site rainwater collector or from the hose. We also used this time to check for health and progress of the plants and to keep the garden tidy. The primary objective of our project was to create lesson plans on the sensory garden for the little eagles. We arranged to meet with the kids at the Family Resource Center and teach them about the different plants in the garden. After the lesson, we brought the kids out to the garden to show them the proper gardening techniques like planting and watering. The kids loved learning how to water especially.
We learned 4 foundational elements this semester: associating, serving, giving, and leading. We associated with our community partner, the FGCU Food Forest, which was led by Marco Acosta, and we were successful in bringing our sensory garden to life. We served our local community at the Eagle Family Weekend Research and Service Showcase, where we were able to speak about the importance of these sensory gardens and the impacts it has on child development. And lastly, we led the way for our future service learning students to continue this Little Eagles garden until we finally have some harvest, and hope that we can establish this new garden project for future Little Eagle generations.
Being a pioneer for the sensory garden, I was able to experience what it's like to start a garden from scratch. I know plants need water and sunlight to grow, and being part of this project allowed me to grow my knowledge on how to successfully grow my own vegetables. My group and I were able to nurture the plants in the garden. We went out to the garden multiple times a week, and it allowed us to have a break from class and homework. Teaching the students from the daycare was exciting for each of my group members. We saw how excited the kids were to leave the classroom and help us in the garden. Each student took their turn to water the plants, and they loved it. Our intention was to plant a seed of appreciation for nature in the kids. We spoke to the students about growing one's own vegetables, and we hope that having a garden at their daycare inspires them to have their own garden.